Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Thursday Night Chaos. So glad everyone could be out. We got 29 viewers. We're in the high life now. Folks, welcome to Chaos tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you for coming out. I know I've been away for a little bit, and I seem to start every single Monday night or Thursday night or whatever night we have the Chaos. I seem to start with that I'm sorry I've been away. I want to start before we get too far along because we've got notes. We've got things to talk about this evening, and then we'll be taking your questions, your comments, your concerns, all that sort of thing. Any correspondence at all. We're gonna try and cycle through at least some of it. We're gonna it's gonna be a very, very short, very special Chaos tonight, but we're gonna try and make sure that everyone gets a little something for everybody. Is what I'm trying to get to. Sorry if I seem a little scatterbrained, because I want to get to this point that I think this is important. I know that it seems like I've been away, and that would suggest that I'm not making content. And I assure you that nothing can be further from the truth. The Hate Bet podcast has been away for a while, or so it would seem. For one reason or another, through either all-out mechanical failure or just the nature of the internet, we've lost a couple of episodes of the Hate Bet podcast, and also for scheduling reasons, we've lost a little bit of material from the Hate Bet podcast. We've lost those, and that's why no one has gotten a hold of them. Because for some reason, the forces of nature are against whatever the hell it is that we're trying to do. I'm not really sure what that is, but that's not the point. So, and I've also been working my hardest and trying to crank out videos, and they're just not working out. So it's not that I don't care, it's not that I don't love you guys or anything like that. It's a matter of the forces of nature just seem to be against me for, the interim. So there's that. And, water. Good. When you're young, you never realize how old. When you're young, you never realize how old you are. When you're young, you never realize how old. No, that's not the point I was trying to make at all. No, when you're young, you forget that water is good because you want soda and you want that shit. That high C and so on. I'm bad-mouthing brand names now. I could have gone after Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola. Don't drink Coca-Cola. Nah, drink whatever you want. We're here to recommend lots of drinking right here on Chaos tonight. Now, I want to take in some of your questions because that's really what this show is about. Getting, everybody's questions answered, and I try to do that as best I can. So, as you know, if you guys know anything about working with Google Hangouts, I'm going to have to wait several hours until I have any sort of feedback or what's going on as far as you guys asking questions and leaving me comments, because there is a bit of a delay, and I do apologize for that. But in the meantime, I would just like to say that it's not that I haven't been trying. I really have. Maybe not hard enough. I guess that's what the issue is. But, what are you going to do? That's just the way things turn out, and you can't get upset. You have to remain reasonable about these things, and it gets hard. So it's like life, though. You got to take it as it comes. There's no real way around it. So, we have a little bit of commentary down below, and I'm going to read some of these now to see what everyone's talking about. Let me see here. First, Nicholas Kennedy, the first guy. Nicholas Kennedy asked if we lost 2 episodes. We did lose 2 episodes, and it's been a bit of a mess. So, let me see here. First one, Palkias Paymer asks, what is your opinion on the band Ex Mortis? Ex Mortis. I want to say Ex Mortis is from San Diego, California. I could be mistaken. And I think I know somebody who knows somebody who was in Ex Mortis. I'm not quite sure on that. I heard Ex Mortis a long time ago. I would have to listen again to give you a genuine opinion. It's been so long. They are one of the bands that, if you're from Southern California, there was a big maelstrom, a big stir-up in the heavy metal supposed underground. In, I want to say, 2003 to 2006, there was a real upswing in that sort of activity in the local bar scene and so on. Ex Mortis is one of those bands. And so, unfortunately, I forget precisely what they sound like, so I'll have to go back to that and get a hold of some Ex Mortis. And then we'll talk about it again. Don't want to leave that open-ended or anything. We'll, I'll find out what it is. Robert Aus says hi. Well, hello, Robert Aus. So glad you could join us. The Meteo Dragoon, who always points things out, says it's been 7 minutes. I'm like, well, I'm sorry. You know, it's like cable. You can't always be on time. Why am I never on time? Because, yeah, like I said, you can't always be on time. Kit171 says, hey, man. Rabaw says, yay. Well, good for. Oh, and he's got a picture of a kitty cat on there with a hat. Seems like cool stuff to me. The Super North Show is here, and he says, do you prefer the Pokemon game originals or the remakes? Red, blue, yellow, gold, and silver, or fire red, heart gold, etc. I prefer the Game Boy originals. Also, what the fuck is Nintendo thinking not having these on the eShop? That was a big, fat question. I can't say that the Pokemons really strike me in a generational sense. I hear that a lot. A lot of people say, well, this generation, first Pokemon generation, was superior to this generation, but don't forget this generation. I've never really looked at it like that. There's a handful of original Pokemon games, and when I say original Pokemon, I mean non-spin-off games. I thought Pokemon Red, if I remember correctly, from the Game Boy was fun, and I don't remember if I really got my hands on the blue one. So, in other words, it just seems to me that Pokemon games are just like Pokemon. You win some, you lose some. Sorry if that didn't answer your question. And why is it not on the eShop? I don't know. I figured they can make good money with it being on the eShop, but, you know, what the hell do I know? Let me see. Lewis Williams is here. Lewis Williams says hi. Hello, Lewis Williams. I hope your guitar is working out for you. And the Cutie Bear is here. She's always here. She's always here doing whatever it is that she does. So glad that everyone could be out. Let me see. Hoffman Hunter wants to know what I think of Avenged Sevenfold. I think Avenged Sevenfold is a bunch of shit. I'm from Orange County, and they're terrible. They're awful, and they're terrible. And I wish my drummer from Dracone, not from Crepitus, Tim Hurst. You guys might know Tim Hurst, the drummer in Dracone. He loves Avenged Sevenfold. He doesn't want me to tell you that. He doesn't want anyone to know that he loves Avenged Sevenfold, but he really likes it. They came out with that City of Evil album, and he would not stop fucking playing it at practice for years. It was like 2 years. I got to hear the goddamn City of Evil song. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna punch you in your tit. Turn it off. And then he'd turn on fucking Dragon Force. Like, I'm gonna. Oh, someone's asking for a pile driver. God damn it. Let me see here. Nicholas Kennedy says, what do you think of the album Demanufactured by Fear Factory and Fear Factory in general? Well, when you say Fear Factory, that's a really big. That's a long. That's a lot of different bands kind of spun together. The album Demanufacture, I liked it better than Remanufacture. I can tell you that with absolute certainty and absolute honesty. That was an okay album. That's the one that had like Piss Christ and Self-Bias Resistor, and Demanufacture and Obsolete are definitely clinics in rhythm guitar. If you want to learn, you know, some great, because after a while they do kind of just become, you know, rhythm exercises taken outside of a song context, and even within a song context, some of them just sound like picking exercises. But if you want an example of some good picking exercises, especially if you're, you know, the 7-string type, then you listen to some Fear Factory. As far as my opinion, Fear Factory in general, I have very limited experience with Fear Factory in that I really stopped giving a shit after, well, that Digimortal album came out, and I didn't care for it, and that was really I think Obsolete was the last album I really cared about. So, yeah. What was the other one? A Soul of a New Machine? That one was more like Benediction, Napalm Death type stuff with like Godflesh. So they hadn't really come into their own. So Demanufacture, if you were to ask me, that's the album where I feel Fear Factory came into their own. Unfortunately, I don't know. They had a limited palette of flavors and colors, and it shows. Let me see. The Cutie Bear, she says, Mr. Chaos, I know this may be a sore subject, but I was wondering why the Sainted Magnus is no longer the 8-Bit Podcast. I thought he made that abundantly clear. I didn't know there was any confusion on the subject. Mr. Magnus decided that school was more important, and we encouraged him to, seek out, happiness wherever he might find it, and apparently that's what he's doing. So, yeah, no hard feelings or anything like that. He just felt that he should focus on his studies, and that's what he did. So, good for him. What else here? Let me see. Where is it? Here we go. The Meteor Dragoon says, "What would you give for a sequel of a game of your choice?" I'm not a big fan of sequels in that a sequel for sequel's sake. I find that's a very unhealthy way of looking at things. It's unhealthy to simply crank out installments in a series for the sake of cranking out installments in a series. Then you get Call of Duty and Police Academy. Not, I'm a big fan of Police Academy, of the Police Academy movies. Not to say that I'm not. But when you're cranking out something just for the sake of having another installment, it's kind of like it's like the stock market, really. It's the more there is available of something, the less valuable it is. Similar to the retro game market, games are being priced according to their rarity, and rarity that's an instance when rarity would actually work, if that makes any sense. So I beg your pardon if I didn't answer your question correctly. I don't think that I'm one of those guys. Just give me games. I don't give a fuck. If you feel that you needed to make a sequel for it, cool. But oftentimes when someone feels they need to make a sequel for it, they really don't. We get things like Ghostbusters 2. I don't hate Ghostbusters 2, but I don't love Ghostbusters 2 either. Let me see. Havel the Rock asks, who farted? Mrs. Yell Chaos farted one time in the car on the way to Las Vegas. We had to roll down the windows. Oh God, I could never pronounce this. Pilota Muro Mirore. I can't get that one. Have you picked up the new Priest album yet? No. I can't tell you the last time I was really interested in a Judas Priest album. I heard that Nostradamus one, and that's when I kind of cashed out. Sorry if I'm putting rain on your parade or anything, but no, sorry. Nicholas Kennedy says Ex Mortis is from Whittier, California. Well, that would make sense. I used to hang around Whittier because the scene was really big up in like Downey and parts of the suburb or exurb outskirts of Los Angeles at the time. Heather Mason 76 is here, all the way from goddamn in Scotland over there. Oh, it must be late over there, sweetheart. Go to bed. Let me see here. Kit171 says, "Are you interested in the Shovel Knight?" I'm very interested in the Shovel Knight. I was skeptical. I want to tell you about my feelings about the Shovel Knight. The fine folks at Nintendo Force magazine and the guys, a magazine I used to subscribe to, Pure Nintendo, did a lot to really plug the coming Yacht Club Games Shovel Knight. If you guys haven't seen it, it's a multi-platform, throwback, retro-style game. And I'm very skeptical of games like that because there have been a handful of games with, that throwback design that have really not even just like stood out, but like worked. There are so many that have that, it's when I see that sort of stuff like on the iOS shop and the Android store, it seems so cut and paste. It has no genuine soul of its own. It is just whatever worked on the NES and the Master System will probably work on your phone in 2014, and that's a very unhealthy way to do, not only to do business, but to represent your medium. It really shows that I hesitate to keep using the term cash grab, but it seems like it's to capitalize on people's nostalgia. Shovel Knight, on the other hand, seems to genuinely, I shouldn't say take itself seriously, but in that it's trying, to stand apart and to do its own thing, but be charming and do all this at the same time. So I'm very interested in that. I'm looking forward to that. Much in the way I felt about Mutant Mudds from Renegade Kid. That was a game that had a lot of charisma and a lot of charm. And, it was nice that it, came from someone other than Nintendo. That was nice. Let me see here. And Lewis Williams wants to know, am I looking forward to the new Judas Priest or Overkill records? I didn't even know there was a new Overkill record coming out. And I heard about the Judas Priest record, and again, no, not really. I hate to be mean, but some of the old dogs need to fucking just lie. I'm tired of hearing about... I'm tired of no new talent being put over, and there's a new Testament record, and a new Flotsam and Jetsam record, and a new fucking... I was going to say new Accept record, but actually Accept is still cranking out kick-ass albums. I cannot fault Accept. They do a good job almost every single time. But, I really think that record labels need to put over more new talent because I'm tired of this, that the old standbys, the old guys. But once again, this further proves my point about how heavy metal doesn't have a 401k retirement plan. So these guys are doing this because this is the only way they know how to make a living. So, there's that. No, I'm sorry, I'm not. Sprites and Bites is here! And Sprites and Bites says, yeah, well, I see you around and you don't say anything. Except I hear you, running your mouth about the World Cup, which everyone's excited about. Good for them. Whoever wins, it'll do wonders for the beer industry in their country. So, I don't know what the beer is in Argentina. Is it Argentina? Argentina. Let me see. Music Jab says, what is your opinion on Twitch? What aspect of Twitch? My feeling about Twitch is the same one that I feel about YouTube and Dailymotion. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's about as realistic of an opinion as I can possibly give. Let me see. Boss Rushmo says, handful of albums released recently, such as Arch Enemy, Vader, Judas Priest, and so on. What have you heard, and what are your thoughts on the ones you've heard? I heard bits of the new Arch Enemy, and I thought it was crap. That band, I feel, is just clutching at straws, and it makes me kind of sad because they were a solid act at one point, and now they seem to more exist as, hey, look, we have a girl, and that's not fair to anybody. Vader, I think I heard pieces of the new Vader album, and it sounded just like the old Vader album. So Vader, punishing as ever. Do I need to run out and get it at full price? No, probably not. And Judas Priest, once again. Chris Holt wants to know what were your favorite and least favorite games at E3. Well, I can't tell you my least favorite games because the ones that were classified as least favorite, I wouldn't pay attention to. I can tell you the games that stuck out to me, but I couldn't give you a reason to why there was hype around them. One of them was Battlefield Frontline. I think that's the one where you're doing cops and robbers. And that speaks to me. I have some material written down here that was going to be on the Hate Bit podcast about the psychology of video games and how grown men, the ones that are left anyway, that have the money to pay for this fucking bullshit, because if you notice, the price of these things just keeps creeping up. But it seems like they want to cater to grown men with inferiority complexes. Because, I mean, look what the video games... I'm going to take a detour real quick. I mean, look what the video games, really help you do. You get to shoot things, you get to drive cars that you're never going to fucking drive. I'm sorry, but you will never drive a $120,000 supercar on a regular basis. I'm sorry. And that's why you have Gran Turismo and Forza and Drive Club and blah, 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 blah. And that's why they have more of an emphasis on engine tuner stuff, because this is all stuff you are never going to fucking see. Why? Because you're spending $500 on a fucking box that shows you cars when you can just go outside and look at cars. Not the same cars, but you get my overall meaning. And the big games are Madden, too. Because your big fat ass, you are never, ever, 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 ever going to be a star professional athlete. That's not going to happen. And I think that's unhealthy when there's an entire industry completely dependent on essentially, how can I put this? Assuaging fears and instilling, instilling dick fear, you know. You have a small dick and you contribute nothing to society, therefore you must buy this game to simulate contributing something to society. It just feels that way. Or maybe I'm just reading too far into things. But what was the question? Let me see. I kind of went off on a tear, didn't I? Chris Holtz wanted to know about my favorite games from E3. My favorite games from E3, I didn't play any of them, but the ones that really stood out was Splatoon. I never thought I'd get excited about a multiplayer game, an online multiplayer game, a shooter game. There are some games where you shoot things that I appreciate, and I just didn't think that there'd be one that I would be that interested in trying. So hopefully, when Nintendo does their showing at San Diego Comic-Con this year, they like to do the Nintendo Lounge next door at the Marriott, and I didn't do any video from that last year. Mrs. Yo Chaos and myself went, and I didn't do any video. I don't know why. Oh, it was very loud, so I couldn't really get anything. It would have to have subtitles on it, and I don't know if you guys would want that. If you want a video with subtitles, feel free to let me know, and I'll see what I can do. But for those that are hearing impaired, that's why I speak so loudly. For those, that I don't want to leave anybody out. Another game that really stuck out. I was excited. I'll tell you this. I badmouthed it initially, but I was excited for Scalebound. But I have to refer back to my previous point that they gave me nothing to be excited about. They gave me a name, they gave me a logo, there was something with dragons, and then that was it. And I have not gotten a chance to see any footage or hands-on with the game. I don't know if they even showed any, and pardon my ignorance. But if it's going to be an Xbox One exclusive, then I'm going to have to wait until the end of the life of the Xbox One. The Xbox One, just with the way things are, I'm not going to be able to handle being a multi-console person, especially with stuff still coming out on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. Maybe once those stop, maybe. And the price comes down on these machines, because I don't have the time to play the Wii U and the PSP and the PlayStation 3, and you see all the stuff set up behind me. It's not much now. It's the Wii and the Wii U and the PlayStation 3 and all that stuff. Not to mention, some of the PC games I play. I don't have time to have all of those. I wish I did. I barely had time when I was doing the multi-console thing last time around. So, went off on a tear again, didn't I? But what other games stuck out at E3? God, so much came out at E3. People asked me if I was excited about Devil's Third, and Devil's Third, I'm sorry, it didn't really show me anything, and it looks like a game that the quirks will be the interesting part of it to me. I'll have to wait till it comes way down in price. It's not something I would see myself getting day one for $60. I'm sure that there's more to be shown, so we'll see. But yeah. If I think of anything else throughout the hour, I'll bring it up. Let me see here. The Pop Culture Fanatic says, what games are you looking forward to this year? This year, I forget. I honestly forget. I'm swamped with games right now. On the Wii U, on the 3DS, on the PlayStation 3, I'm swamped with the games I have. I forget what's even coming out this year. Bayonetta looks fucking ridiculous, so that's exciting. I have a list back there of the games that I'm looking forward to. I figured I talked about this plenty, but for now we'll say Bayonetta and Smash Brothers, because for some reason I'm drawing a total blank and I'm gonna look like an asshole on the internet in front of each and every one of you. So we're gonna move ahead here. Hobby 5150, referring back to our Fear Factory discussion, says that demanufacture and obsolete are great albums. Yeah, they'll do just fine. Let me see. The cutie bear says, have I ever thought about doing a Chaos tonight in corpse face paint? I assume you mean like the black metal thing, like Dark Funeral and Astaroth and Kiva Callison and shit like that. No, I've never given it thought. I don't. Do I strike you as one of those kind of people? A big beard like mine is never really. If you've seen me with paint on my face, it's weird because it stops right here because my hair is so coarse, on my face that if I put paint on it, and I've done this before to try and cover it up, it takes me an hour and gallons upon gallons of hot water to get it out, and then the next day my face looks blue, and I'm not fucking doing that ever again. But I thank you for the suggestion. Maybe we'll do something for the Monster Mash this year. If you guys know about the Monster Mash and what we do here, well, you'll find out as the year goes on. We got plenty of Halloween coverage in October. But anyway, here in July, Sigma Sean wants to know, did I kill Silent Rob? Did you kill Silent Rob? Because Silent Rob went missing, then he came back, then he went missing, then he came back, then he went missing, then he said he was making a comeback, and we're still waiting. He came on, he smoked his cig, and that was the last we fucking heard of Silent Rob. No, I didn't do anything to Silent Rob. I have been going out of my way to get Silent Rob back on the 8-Bit podcast at least once, because that is one of the biggest requests that we get on the 8-Bit podcast, to bring back Silent Rob. I want you to know that I have tried everything that I know to get this motherfucker on the 8-Bit podcast. And he says yes, and then something goes wrong. So we hope that Rob's okay, and we don't wish any ill will upon him. I really hope that things are okay for Rob, but yeah, Rob has gone missing on more than one occasion. So if he's dead and if he's in fact dead, then no comment. Let me see here. Cutie Bear again wants to know if she can add me to my Wii U friends list. Of course she can, darling. And anybody out there, if you're listening, if you have a Nintendo Wii U, or I don't know if you can do it on the 3DS yet, but yeah, Yell Chaos, that's me. You can find me on the Nintendo Miiverse. I don't know if I'll be around to play Smash Brothers. I'm not one for online gaming, so you're really going to have to, convince me or something. Certain games, yes, certain games, no. It just depends. It still kind of bums me out to play games. I can't play games with strangers. That bugs me. It's like, ha, I beat you, Nick from Iowa. Heather Mason 76 wants to know, what's my favorite Phoenix Wright game and why? My favorite Phoenix Wright game would have to be the very first Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Everything's so right. It's a charming game. The art style is fantastic. It was before they started becoming tongue-in-cheek, which is appreciative. I appreciate that, but it's also fan service. And, they haven't crossed the line to where I think it's too much yet. Not that I've seen. But yeah, the original. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that game has great boobs. Great boobs in the first Phoenix Wright game. Sarg Slim says, so when are you going to do us all a favor and put Colin Moriarty out of his misery? I get the idea that Colin Moriarty draws ecstasy from his misery. He's a fake cunt, and I just don't like him. And I don't like the fact that he fucking throws the rattlesnake flag. That's a very powerful symbol, and he's a fucking tool. But, no one's killed him yet. I don't know if I should be the guy. Maybe. Nah. But if me and him get in a fight, jackknife powerbomb. He might be bigger than me, though. I don't know. I don't know the physical dimensions of Colin Moriarty. Chris Holmes wants to know what I think of Tool. I don't think of Tool. Nicholas Kennedy says, this may be a very vague question, but what do you think is the most controversial thing to happen in wrestling? Whether it's the most controversial thing to happen in wrestling? Controversy? Oh, man. Well, that's that's a complex thing. Because especially in terms of professional wrestling, you have controversy at the street level, amongst the wrestling audiences. At the television level, both the worked television level, the manufactured television, your Good Morning America and all that stuff, truth, but manufactured to be easily digested. And then there's the real, people talking on television. There's not many of them. And then there's what the internet thinks. And so that's a really varied topic. I know a lot of people would think about the work, shoot, supposed angle of Stone Cold Steve Austin and Brian Pillman and The Gun. I'm not one for controversy. I'm one for entertainment. I don't think that... professional wrestling, some people feel that professional wrestling needs controversy to stay topical, and I don't think professional wrestling was ever about controversy. Professional wrestling is about entertaining folks, and if you can't do that through spectacle, then you should be able to do it through athleticism. Athleticism, if anybody who's passionate about the Pan American Games or the Olympics or the Special Olympics even, and I mean the reality of it, not the bullshit that goes on television to sell Coca-Cola and your NBC happy stories, but pure athleticism, competition, and now mind you, what you're doing with professional wrestling, that's perceived athleticism, but it's athleticism nonetheless. If it's taken seriously by the players, similar to, it's like that a movie's fake, but that's not the point. If it can engage you, then whether it's real or not is immaterial. So alluding back to the previous point, Nicholas, I'm sorry. I don't think controversy. I think controversy is there for all the wrong reasons, and I don't like to reflect on controversy because I find that controversy in professional wrestling takes away from professional wrestling, just like controversy in education takes away from actually educating children, and it's not healthy and it's not fair. Let me see here. Chris Green says, what is the next 3DS for portable gaming coming from Nintendo? I don't know. I don't work there. I hope it's something neat. There were talk about the 3DS Lite. I'd heard about that, the 3DS Lite. And it's pretty light already. I've had to have talks with people. There's my 3DS right here. And people ask, am I going to get a 3DS XL? And I don't think I'm ready for that. I'm probably going to take the same strategy I did with the DSi XL and get it at the end of the lifespan. Just because this is still the perfect package for me anyway. It fits in my pocket nicely. It's got the perfect size screen for on the go. Both the 2DS, which I'm curious to really handle, I've yet to get a good handle on, and the 3DS XL are just seem to be a pain in the ass to carry. And I don't care for that sort of thing. It's just they're more trouble than they're worth. I know people say they can't handle the small screen, but for me, it's not a big deal. It looks just fine. Let me see here. Hevel the Rock says, have you ever played the Doom series? Yeah. Oh, you can't see it. It's off camera. I actually have the Doom collection. I was a big fan of the first and second Doom. And unfortunately, my love stopped there. I still remember. I may have told this story. I may have. I may not. But I remember when Doom 3 came out. For those of you, the PC junkies in the audience, there might not be many. I know the PC fanboys. I shouldn't say fanboys. That's a fucked up word. I'm sorry. The PC types. They don't like me so much. I'm not sure why that is. Because I'm a PC gamer. I'm just a retro PC gamer. Because keeping up with the Joneses is fucking expensive and pointless. I can have just as much fun on my PC with the Sim City as you can with your several $1,000 rig with your multi-screens and all that stuff. Whatever. But anyway, I remember when Doom 3 came out, and I was dating a girl that was really into computers before Mrs. Yo Kaos and I got married. I was dating a girl, and she was all talking about Doom 3 when it was coming out. This is a long time ago, obviously. And she said, "Oh, look at this." And I looked at the required process, or the optimal requirements, and I'm like, I've never even heard of some of these things before. And she goes, yeah. And she points to like the processor. And I think the processor that they recommended as Optimum wasn't even out yet. I forget what it was. But like the hardware wasn't even available yet. Like, that's not good for your market. That's just, there's no punchline to that. It's just just a limerick, or not a limerick, just an anecdote, just a cute story. But yeah, I like the first two Dooms, and after Doom 3, I don't know, it wasn't corny enough, I guess. And then there was the movie, and we won't talk about that. I'm not a movie critic. Let me see. JCW is here! What's going on? Let's see. The Sethcast says, have you heard of or played a game that has procedural generation? If so, do you think it can have an important role in the future of gaming? What's procedural generation? I'm not familiar with that terminology. Is that where you're generating your own procedure? If you could please clarify, I would love to discuss that, because I'm always interested in, what is the role, what is the future of gaming? Hopefully the future of gaming is entertainment, because what they're doing right now is not helping. It's doing okay, I guess, but, Let me see here. Sprites and Byte says, me and him are going to have a conversation. That's good. I look forward to that. Dylan8837, what do you think of the new Arch Enemy singer? I met her when she was singing for a group called The Agonist. I used to work at a nightclub called the Galaxy Theater in Santa Ana, California, in Orange County. The Galaxy is now called the Observation. The Observatory. I beg your pardon. The Observatory. And I met her, and I don't know if she's younger than me or she's older than me. She might be slightly younger, slightly older. Alyssa something or other. And she's a real sweetheart. She's very nice. I've heard what she's doing in Arch Enemy, and so, unfortunately for her, out of an 1.5-hour set, she's going to have to spend like 1 hour and 15 singing Angela Gossow and Johann Leva songs. So she has caught what I like to call Gary Sharon syndrome, which is what happens to a singer when they join a band after that band's already had 2 iconic frontmen, or more than one iconic frontman, or just one even, like what George Fisher had to go through when he replaced Chris Barnes. But we can talk about that some other time. You see, Frozen Destiny says, Diddy Kong Racing 2 rumors popping up on the web at the moment. Are you a fan of the series? I was unaware that you could even call it a series, unless you count that other Banjo-Kazooie Air Racer thing that Rare did. If you want to, on the Game Boy Advance, if you want to count that as part of the series, then yeah, I'm not opposed to it. Diddy Kong Racing is essentially Mario Kart with Rare characters. So, we'll see what they do. Because I don't know how much control anybody has over those characters. I don't know if Rare owns all of them or Nintendo owns all of them, what the story is on that. If it comes out, cool. If not, oh well. And now I can't decide whether I want to see that on 3DS or Wii U. Damn you, Frozen Destiny. Music Jet. What game developer do you think is the most overrated? Treyarch. And Bungie. Can they get a tie? Have I seen Cuphead yet? And I have no fucking clue what Cuphead is. If it's something gross, don't send it to me. You plan on getting the new Fatal Frame that's going to be coming for the Wii U? Yeah. I mean, we'll see how it turns out. I might want to wait until it comes down in price a little bit. I enjoyed Spirit Camera on the 3DS, and I appear to be one of like 7 fucking people on this planet who says that they like Spirit Camera. But I think I may have talked about it before. Don't fall down. Spirit Camera on the 3DS. I enjoyed it. It's one of those games. It's a handheld game, so you got to take that into consideration. But it's you have to let it, immerse you. You have to relax a little bit. It's not shocking. It's not going to reach through the fucking screen and shake you. But yeah, when it comes out on Wii U, we'll see. I hope so. I hope I'm interested in it. What do I think about Chris Hole 64 is what I think about the new Legend of Zelda trailer. I thought it was pretty. I don't think it was, quite the flash bang that everyone claims it to be, but it was a good looking thing, and I hope that it's as good as they're laying it out to be. I'm sure it'll be fine. I always take a little time to get into Zelda games anyway. So for you Zelda fans out there, and I know that there's a lot of people who are going to see this video in my audience anyway, who love The Legend of Zelda. I might not be with you there on the hype right away. It takes me a little while to get there. On the other hand, you can just keep harping on me on the facebook.com/yellchaos. If you wanna harp on me about that. Also follow me on Twitter while we're talking about it @yellchaos. The way it's spelled there, like so, no space if there's a space. Google Plus is fucked up. I'm sorry. Actually, I can't say Google Plus is fucked up because it doesn't really do anything in the first place. So that could be a problem. It could not. I don't know. Let me see. What else over here on the list? Let me have a sip of water here. What's my favorite horror movie? Oh, shit. I've seen hundreds of horror movies. I can tell you a horror movie I want to watch right now is... oh, man. What? My favorite horror movie? I have so many. I like the classic horror films more so than I like the gross-out horror films of the 80s. I like some of the slasher movies. I really like... God, if I were going to pick one, if I was going to watch one right now... I'd say Psycho, but that's a suspense thriller, really. Probably the Night of the Living Dead, the original Night of the Living Dead from the 1960s, black and white. I'd go that one. If we were going to watch anyone right now, that's the one I'd say let's watch. Let me see. Louis Williams telling me that Silent Rob made a tweet just a day ago about GameStop. That's right, I read that. And I guess that was the big comeback he was talking about. And apparently he can't wait for that stupid-ass company to go out of business. So, here. Actually, no. I mean, really, if they go out of business, they're taking a large part of the gaming economy with them. That's something else I want to talk about some other time. Not necessarily right now. But I want to discuss about where game retail is going, just also including the retro stores, the retro rapists, as I like to call them. I understand there's quite a few of the ones that, adjust their prices at the register. I want to see, once whether new games, modern games, or retro games, if one of those sections of the market collapses, how long they'll hang on. Once they got to reduce their prices down to, reasonable. That's what I wonder. Because a lot of them seem like they're just starting museums at this point. Dylan8837, has the Sainted Magnus completely left the Hate Pod? Yes, well, he has completely left. He's talked about, I talked to him a few months ago, and he talked about coming on and doing a guest spot, and that was kind of the end of the discussion. So we hope to have him back on soon. It's just that I can't stress this enough. For the people who are in the UK right now, it is 5:49 p.m. where I am. So imagine talking. This is usually about the time we do the Hate Bit podcast. So imagine talking to me for 2, if not 3 hours straight. And we have to get the show right in one take. What you hear on the show, I shouldn't tell you that, but 9 times out of 10, what you hear in the show is what happened. No recap, no retakes, no cuts, no nothing. There's a few exceptions, but very rarely. So imagine trying to talk to me right now at, I think it's like 1:49 in the morning. Imagine that. It's hellacious. It's a terrible schedule, and I really feel bad for that. But it's really the only way we could do it with everyone being so spread out. Let me see here. How much do I know about the Japanese metal scene? Not very much. I only know of 2. I don't even know I think there's the Sex Machine Guns, and I don't even know if they're a Japanese band. I think they might be a Taiwanese band. And then my favorite Japanese metal group, there's 2 of them. My 2 favorite Japanese metal groups is X Japan, who I enjoy thoroughly, and Yellow Machine Gun. If you're familiar with Yellow Machine Gun, they're an all-girl grindcore band, and they are fucking something else. So if you have the opportunity, listen to some Yellow Machine Gun. Their shit, I think they broke up a few years ago, and their shit is hard to come by. Their vinyl stuff goes for top dollar on eBay. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, get your hands on some Yellow Machine Gun if you want to see some good Japanese metal, at least in my opinion, at least in my estimation. And I'm not familiar with Belfast. And, oh, are they the folk metal? I find that folk metal is kind of a catch-all term. Excuse me, I dripped a little bit there. It's kind of a catch-all term, and I don't really know what that means. I know sometimes it means it has a hurdy-gurdy in it, so. Let me see here. Super North Show says the PlayStation 4 greatest hits case will be piss yellow and the Xbox Platinum hits will be hot pink. Why not? Let me see. Cutie Bear wants to know, are you attending QuakeCon 2014? I have no idea what QuakeCon is. If you can clarify what QuakeCon is, then maybe I could answer your question better. Lewis Williams says, what made you want to play guitar and what guitar players influenced you? It was kind of beaten into my head from a very early time in my life. My grandmother and then my father and family suggested that I should play guitar because my great-grandfather played guitar, and my father tried, couldn't get it. My uncles tried, couldn't get it. You know, my cousins turned out to be horn players, so I guess it was up to me. And I guess I figured I'd try it, but this was before I was really into rock and roll. I didn't get into rock and roll and heavy metal till I was like, you know, at least 10 years old or something like that, and this was going on much earlier. And my great-grandfather tried to show me some chords, but my fingers weren't there. And as a matter of fact, the guitar that my great-grandfather showed me, that guitar is actually in mine and Mrs. Yokias's bedroom. That is an antique, and I still have that guitar to this day. It's very special to me, and it doesn't play anymore. It still does, but I don't play it anymore. I just dust it and, you know, polish it and keep it clean. But I say the one that really made me want to become an electric guitar player and learn to play like, because I was just going to play like, you know, strum stuff and, you know, play music. My grandmother was a folklorico and flamenco dance teacher. Apparently she was quite well known in certain parts of Mexico in that scene, and insisted that I should play music with her dance troops. And that's really the only reason I was going to learn to play. And that actually ended up falling through, but... and there's a big but. When I wanted to play electric lead guitar, I heard a band called Def Leppard, and they had an album called Adrenalize, which some of you guys might know. It's an old album, and there was a song on there called Tonight, which is a real sexy song for, you know, at least it's a really sexy song when you're like, you know, 14 or 15 and you don't know anything about being sexy. So I just went with what I figured would work. And I heard the solo to that song, and I said, I have to learn that. I have to do that. That's so girls will think I'm sexy. And no girls, I learned that solo, and no girls ever thought I was sexy for playing it. It's a shame. But I can play that solo now, and it's good. It's good. So it was, I was going to say Steve Clark that played that solo, but Steve Clark had passed away by that point, so it was Phil Collen. Not Collins from Genesis, but Phil Collen from Def Leppard played that solo. And that's really what started me on my journey. I said I had to learn to play lead guitar. And to this day, I still consider myself a rhythm guitarist, but I can play lead if I have to. So, I can say that honestly. Can you play lead? Sort of. So, and if someone can tell me what QuakeCon is, I'll be glad to fill you guys in. Now, I gotta shuffle through this and see what I missed here. So, let me see. Guys, feel free to ask your questions, unless I've already exhausted all the questions. I know I came on late, so I'm going to stay on a little bit late tonight, and hopefully we'll do one of these again real soon. There were people that talked about me doing this once a week. I don't know if you guys could handle doing it once a week. I don't know if I could handle doing it once a week. I don't know if I really have enough to talk about, really, for do this once a week. And then there was a talk about, someone said I should do this every day, and I said, you, sir, are out of your mind. You know, I would need a guest or something. And I've tried to get guests on this show. I want to tell you fine folks that I have tried to get guests on this show, and it just never works out. No one wants to be on Chaos Tonight. I shouldn't say no one, because I'm sure there's at least one person, but I've tried and I can't. Return to Mother Base, tried to get him on here. He's too busy. Tried to get Ed T1138, tried to get him on here. He's too busy. Or something, I don't know. But one of these days we're going to have a guest on this show. And then it'll be entertaining. Mark my words. Kit171 says, here's a non-gaming question for you. Do you still have the same interest in YouTube and making videos as you have, or has it waned in recent times? Not implying anything, I'm just curious what you feel about it. Kit171 is asking me this, probably because he has similar feelings. I imagine that everybody goes through a little bit. When you've been on YouTube for a time, you become, what's the word? I don't want to say desensitized, but you become sort of numb to the whole thing. You'll find through the course of creating content and putting it on the internet, YouTube for example, I stick with YouTube just because I always have. I've never been one to build websites and all that stuff. I don't know anything about it actually. I just know a good website when I see one. But when you're running across people that have nothing nice to say, it does get old, I imagine, and you don't want to deal with it. So I wouldn't say I never know what's really gonna work. So I get lots of ideas and I start filming videos, and then it just doesn't seem like it's all that entertaining, and I kind of scrap the project. I've scrapped hours of footage like that, just because I don't know if I can make it a full video, and you know I don't want to bore anybody. I don't want anyone to, you know, tune in for nothing. I hope that you guys are entertained when you stop by. So you know I have other ideas. I just haven't gotten around to it. A video that I've been wanting to make for a long time, and I just haven't gotten around to it, is there's a book on my shelf way back there. Called 1001 Video Games to Play Before You Die. I'm using it as a checklist, and I really want to do a video about, you know, just to thumb through it and thumb through the pages, and to show you guys, you know, visuals. A real quick thing to show you some of the games I've played and the ones I'm interested in. And now the book's kind of old, but it's a great looking book, and I just want to show it off. So that's one I'm going to work on, and I don't know if there's really interest, but I'm thinking about bringing back a Guitar Story. So I never know what's going to work. You know, so that's why I look forward to any input. You know, if you guys can tell me what works and what doesn't, because I don't know. So, real quick before I forget, I want to tell you guys to make sure and go over to McDonald's. I don't recommend eating at McDonald's, but get yourself some of them Happy Meal toys. I went and got some. And you wouldn't believe the look you get when you go into McDonald's with a Super Mario t-shirt and buying Super Mario toys from a children's meal. It was actually a look of like bewilderment, like, oh, you're one of those people. Oh my goodness. Let me see here. Sigma Sean says, what games do you want Atlas to make new installments of from the Sega library? Oh, shit. I would say Shinobi, but I remember, if I'm not mistaken, Shinobi 3D for the 3DS didn't do very well. It wasn't very good or something. It never really crossed me. But I would love to see I'd love to see an arcade port of actually the original Shinobi arcade game. That would be neat. But Atlas, no, I think Atlas should continue doing whatever it is that they do. I would hate to see them. They have a very loyal audience, and I would hate to see that audience forsook for the sake of revamping old properties that probably aren't going to sell that well to begin with. You know, it's like if you're going to sell poorly, but do it strong. You know, it's one thing to sell out a niche audience versus do nothing for a widespread audience. You know, the numbers that they do versus the numbers like a Madden or Call of Duty are minuscule, but they have a happy section, and I hope that they continue to look out for those people. Return to Mother Base included. He goes on and on about the Atlas games, and I'm happy for him. I'm always happy when someone finds something they like. That's very important. Life is short, and you should find things you like. And for those of you that know all those fucking haters out there that just sit around and hate everything, it's old, it's outdated. Just get into liking things, because hating things is just old and it's a waste of your time. Find things you like. And if you can't do that, eat things you like. And if you can't do that, then you're going to have to do some soul searching, my friend. Actually, like I always say, get some Starburst and taste the motherfucking rainbow and have some fun. Nitro Java says, what are your favorite Motorhead songs? Let me see. The two ones that stick out to me are The Ace of Spades and On Your Feet or On Your Knees. And I want to say I'm just in love with the Bastards album. That's my favorite Motorhead album. So, except the one where Lemmy sings about the little girls being touched by their father and all that. I don't care for that. It's nice and creepy all by itself. Kit171 says, I really want to hear what you have to say about where game retail is going. I'm interested to find that out, and I'll have more to discuss about that, actually. So, Kit, hang on to that, because we're going to talk about that the next time we do Chaos tonight. I'm not sure when. But like I said, if you guys bust my chops enough, maybe I'll get off my ass and do it. I hate to make it seem like it's your idea or whatever. It's just finding the time to do these things. But we're after the Classic Gaming Expo, which if you guys see right here, I'm working on the Classic Gaming Expo. See my horrible handwriting. The Classic Gaming Expo Survival Guide. I'm going to explore that because there's going to be some game retailers there. I'm also going to, kind of feel it out because they will have a marketplace there. If you know anything about the Classic Gaming Expo, it's the WrestleMania of game expos. It's the real deal. It's the granddaddy of them all. It's a big deal. And I'm actually going to do a video very soon, hopefully soon, plugging that expo because to tell you folks that I'm going to be there and all that stuff. And Mrs. Yell Chaos and I don't make it out to the expos as much as we'd like. So if you're going to be able to make it, we look forward to seeing you. I want to answer a few more questions before I get out of here because I have to be on my way. And I thank you for joining me right here on Chaos tonight. We only had time for an hour. Hopefully, and if you missed us and you're seeing this on YouTube, we hope to catch you next time. And yeah, so there's that. I hope to catch you next time. Supernova says, what do you think about Pink Floyd with Syd Barrett? He says it's some trippy shit. I'm like, that's all I can really say myself, is it's some trippy shit. Frozen Destiny, we were talking about Diddy Kong Racing. I forgot there was a Diddy Kong DS remake, so there's that. Hoffman Hunter wants to know, what are my top 5 metal bands of all time? We don't have that kind of time. Hobby5150 wants to know if I got any new games. I did, and I'll talk about those in a video. I'm going to do a pickup video pretty soon, I think. I don't even know if I have enough stuff, but I got some stuff, and we'll talk about that very soon. Let me see. Last few questions before I get out of here, and once again, if I didn't answer your question, I'm terribly sorry. We'll get to you next time, I promise. Let me see here. Which do I prefer, active or passive pickups? I prefer passive pickups. Unless you're working with a non-resonant fiber like acrylic or fiberglass, or there are guitars made out of those materials, then I could see the need for active pickups because typically those materials don't have a lot of character of their own. I have a few guitars that are actually made out of plywood, and actually they sound different. They do have a different character unto themselves. But I'm going to experiment soon with putting active pickups in them and see if I like the results better. Active pickups give you more of a sound shaping opportunity, whereas unfortunately they completely ignore the dynamics of your instrument for the most part. The only thing they really respond to is string gauge and scale length, it seems. And active pickups love to buzz like a motherfucker when you put them next to a tremolo system. Or, sorry, a vibrato system. That's a common mistake, but we'll talk about that later. Let me see. Cutie Bear says, the QuakeCon is a convention for games like Doom, Quake, The Evil Within, and so on. It's based... no. Where do they have that? I don't know. I don't think I'll be able to make that out to that one. I'm sorry about that. Chris Hole says, what is your favorite Legend of Zelda title? A Link to the Past. And Nitro Job says, do you listen to any doom, metal, or sludge? I couldn't tell you of any sludge bands that I really listen to a lot. And doom bands, I love Cathedral, and I love Candlemass very, 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 very much. And a lot of doom bands, actually. But I won't go and bore you guys with that. We can talk about that another time. I have actually got to be on my way. I got to get this wrapped up. And a bunch of other things. So I thank each and every one of you for coming out to Chaos tonight, this very special Thursday night Chaos. I want to remind you that there should be some links down below, and if not, I'll figure it out. But make sure and follow me on the Facebook, follow me on the Twitter, follow me on the Nintendo Network, what are they called? The Miiverse over there. And I hope that each and every one of you has a fantastic evening. And until next time, you guys stay cool. And what was the last thing? There's a bunch of ands, I know, but what was the last thing? Oh well, we hope to see you next time on Chaos tonight.